Thank you so much, and welcome again to everyone, and wonderful. Over to you, Sister Gwen.
All right, I didn't check with Roberta about this before, but if it's all right with Roberta, could I just read the report that was printed in our BVM Center News? Is that all right, Roberta?
Sure, Gwen.
Oh, okay. And it's entitled CSW67, Empowered Women Empower Women. Imagine thousands of women from all over the world discussing actions to meet and end oppression of women and girls. Well, this is the 67th year the UN Commission on the Status of Women has met in New York City to do just that. These participants make action plans to uplift women and girls the world over. This year offered hybrid sessions, some in person and some on Zoom. Over 25,000 women attended sessions on Zoom alone. This year's theme was innovation and technological change in education in the digital age for achieving gender equality and empowerment of women and girls. 3 issues out of many were the reality that access is not available to all, digital input is mostly male-dominated, and the widespread safety concerns from exploitation on the internet. One session emphasized that increased porn worldwide creates a rape culture, more sex trafficking, and normalizes degradation of girls and women. The town hall session with UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres was powerful in his encouragement to keep up the fight against the current worldwide attacks on women's rights. Guterres strongly supported courageously standing up to present-day oppression of women and girls. Many women's rights have been negated during the pandemic, which continues to this very day. Another session noted the prevailing attacks on women in politics and in other leadership roles. These attacks are prevalent in digital and other media areas. These examples are only a few among a myriad of topics discussed this March 6th through the 17th at the UN CSW67 and UN NGO sessions. Action plans are being drawn up from all sessions to be sent to UN Women for implementation in 2023-24. Those attending UN CSW67 through Loretto BVM's sponsorship gathered via Zoom some evenings for sharing and reflection. BVM associate Sherry Warren attended in person, while Mary Martins, Gwen Farry, Roberta White, and Rosemary Meyer observed via Zoom. The second week in March 2024 will be our opportunity to attend the Commission on the Status of Women 68th year in New York City. Perhaps you would be interested in attending in person or via Zoom. There are partial grants available. Start planning and contact us soon. Remember, we each can stand up for the rights of women and girls by our powerful prayers, respectful treatment of all, and our generous donations. Thanks to Roberta for submitting that article to our BVM Center News.
And Roberta, would you like to add anything to that since you've been in person other years?
As I think sometimes, well, for me especially, it was very powerful. The in-between times where you met women from all over the world. And I remember sitting down with my sack lunch in between the sessions, and 3 women from Nepal came and asked if they could sit with me. Well, it was one of the most beautiful sharing sessions that I had that year. And what was fascinating is one was Christian, one was Muslim, and I think one was Buddhist. So the diversity was marvelous. Another thing that I think that is interesting is at Antonio Gutierrez's session, he mentioned how he wanted the UN itself, and I think he has talked about this before, to be a model equality of women work, because when he came into office, I think it's 4 or 5 years ago now, the number of women working there was very low. And the number of women ambassadors, of course, is a lot lower than men also. So he wanted to use the UN itself, the organization itself, to model equality in jobs. So he has, I'm not, I can't remember the exact percentages, but it's almost 50-50, those working at the UN, 50% women and men. But he said, of course, the ambassadors are still low. And that needs to be still encouraged, to have women as ambassadors to the UN from different countries.
Thank you. That's wonderful. Thank you for that word from the BVM sisters. Let's begin we've already begun our remembering, but let's continue with an overview of parallel events. Working in collaboration with Daughters of Charity and the Academy of Mount St. Ursula. Juliana, is Juliana here? I wonder if you might like to begin our... Wonderful. I wonder if you might like to begin our reflections. Just what sticks with you about the parallel event?
Well, which parallel event, like the sessions itself or the parallel event on I Love Reading?
Yeah, Audrey, just so you know, Hannah, who just got on now, we're going to let Hannah settle in for a little while. She can talk about the parallel event a little bit later. Juliana is going to talk about the overall experience, and then maybe a few other girls from Loretto Academy, and then we'll transition over to Hannah Reyes. Sound good? Yeah, over to you, Juliana.
So,
thanks for being here.
good afternoon. My name is Juliana and I go to Loretto Academy. And I'm going to be focusing more on the sessions itself. So most of the sessions consisted of like from 30 to 300 people. So it kind of just depends on which ones you wanted to go. And they typically included panel discussions and interactive dialogue. And participants got the opportunities to share their experiences and also different strategies for advancing gender equality. And I love the sessions because I got the opportunity to meet a lot of different people. For example, UN member states, civil society organizations, and other stakeholders around the world. And well, my favorite session was one that talked about women in Latin America and how we can help them to stop violence. So it talked about the European Union and the United Nations, that they made a partnership to stop violence and to promote gender equality in Latin America, because it talked about how women in Latin America don't have equal access to education, healthcare, political representation, or economic opportunities. And it kind of let me see like how privileged we all are and how we need to use our voices to be able to help others. And well, one way that like that panel helped me see is that we could create networks for women both online and offline. And interviewing a lot of people that we met at the panels really changed my point of view on everything. And it made me kind of feel more empowered, and it let me know that I have the opportunity to make a change if I really set my mind to it. Thank you.
Oh, I think my breath just went away. Thank you for that reflection. I wonder, MJ, if you wouldn't mind now saying something about your experience of the in-person time. What sticks with you?
Okay, so hi, my name is Maria Joaquina. During the in-person sessions, I learned a lot about things that I didn't really know much about the topic. Like before going, I really didn't know like a lot about the topics, and getting to know and have that like because in Loretto, like they talk a lot about like the sisterhood and like being a feminist and being with all these girls and getting to learn about like how it is a privilege to be a woman, and in this age getting to help women and girls experience that was really amazing. And in the sessions they would tell you a lot about different things that are going around the world, and in this technological era which is something very impacting for us young girls, and how we can help other girls to just be themselves and grow as women and be better women for the future. Something I also wanted to share was that Beth helped me and came up to me and asked me if I could run the Instagram account for Loretto at the UN. And I took it upon myself, and the girls are also helping me. Juliana posted today on that account, so you guys can go follow us on Instagram. It's called Loretto at the UN. And it's every week we try to post something about what's happening at the UN, what's going around in the world about women and girls and everything that is going on around the world, and we try to put it so maybe we can learn something each week about what is happening during the world. So if you guys want to go follow us, it's Loretto at the UN, and yeah, thank you.
Fantastic. If you have a chance, could you put the important information in chat on how we can, get to that Instagram account? Can't wait to look at it myself. So now, Hannah, are you feeling rested and ready to switch gears a little bit and talk about the Parallel event? Can't wait to hear what sticks with you.
Yes, hi. Also, so sorry for joining late. My school just ended a couple minutes ago, so I rushed home to make it. But I guess the Parallel event We Love Reading was really inspirational. I attended to be a part of the panel to facilitate and ask Dr. Rana Dejani questions. And throughout, I guess, the Parallel event overall, just like an overview, she went through the aspects of her life and how she started We Love Reading and kind of how that passion developed through her family and kind of how it was really rooted in just her passion for reading. And something that I thought was very inspirational is that the mission, I guess, of the entire project of We Love Reading is kind of to create a community that aims to foster the love of reading in children because of the benefits that it can provide, whether through creativity, just innovation, and overall just enjoying reading and books in general. And I thought it was very inspirational because Dr. Rana Dejani actually stated that she doesn't really know how many branches of the project and how many versions of We Love Reading exists because of how reliant on the community it is. Unlike some other nonprofits and organizations that kind of rely on one sole person or one sole, I guess, location for the entire thing to run, it was, I guess, her explanation of We Love Reading was that, you know, they foster and the mission for the entire project is to make sure that in the future that community won't need to rely on them anymore. And it kind of fosters a long-lasting butterfly effect of, I guess, a community learning and relying on each other and just being together, especially in the times to storytell, which I think is very interesting. And it was overall, she's like an amazing person. She was an amazing person to talk to, or just even though she wasn't in person. So I highly suggest, I read some of the chapters of her book, highly suggest doing that. It's very informational, or even just going to their site. But as like someone who does love reading myself, I think it was a great opportunity just to see the impacts that it can have on communities, even just by, you know, sending them books.
Thank you so
That
much.
is, it's amazing to see kind of how an organizational form based on community can make such a difference, a model for a lot of other budding communities. Is there anyone else who wants to offer a reflection on the Parallel event?
Me.
Yeah, please take the
Yes.
stage.
Hi, my name is Marina Cepeda. I also attend Loretto Academy in El Paso. And what I wanted to talk about is about International Women's Day. For me, it was a very big privilege to be part of the event that was held that day. It was just amazing to see all the women that like come from all around the world just to like help to be part of the change that UN wants to make. And during that event, I specifically, what really touched me was that there was this 17-year-old girl that was participating in the session. And it just opened my eyes, like, because we always think that we're too young to do stuff to make a change in the world. And it just inspired me to keep on following, to keep on working to help others, and that it can be possible to make a change today. Like I'm 17 years old, and I now know that I am able to do whatever I want. And I am blessed to have the help of my school and Beth. And it was just an amazing experience. I loved like the way people came together to celebrate this amazing day. Thank you.
Thank you. That sounds like a wonderful insight to reinforce. Young people, older people, everyone can make a change. Who else has a reflection on the in-person experience?
I'd like to jump in if I could, just
Love to
to
hear.
reiterate that, yes, Marina, you can and you are making a difference already at your school. I had the blessing and the privilege of being in El Paso on Loretto's Foundation Day on the 25th of April. And then the very day after that, on the 26th, all of the girls who came to New York City to CSW67 presented to their entire school, all 4 years, and did a very fine job of giving an overview of it. And if I remember correctly, Juliana, you even have a video going that you're going to send us the link to so we can share that with the Loretto community. That will be wonderful. And thank you very much, MJ, for posting the link to the Instagram account. That will be wonderful to get more Instagram going. That'll be fabulous. And Hannah, thank you so much for the overview of the parallel event. I just put into the chat the link to the our speaker, Dr. Rana Dajani, who I had actually met last fall at a Transforming Education event as part of the Sustainable Development Goals Summit. And so to be able to have an interfaith gathering, because Rana is from a Muslim tradition and very much came at her work from a US and Jordanian Muslim perspective, to be able to have her in dialogue with some of our fabulous Loretto students from both at St. Mary's Academy and Loretto Academy. That was just a fabulous thing. And Hannah, you were very humble. Hannah also has her own business that if we have time, it would be great for folks to hear about. So these young folks inspire me all the time. And we had some great conversation going at that particular event, also linked to Laudato Si and issues of justice and economic empowerment of women. And just, it was a wonderful example of the way digital education can be used positively, right? To support those who read to children and support children learning to love reading, not just read for school, but grabbing onto the love of reading and therefore the love of going all the different places a book can take you. Now, I'm particularly passionate about that because my mother was an elementary school reading teacher, so this gets right to my heart, but I'm deeply grateful we had the opportunity for students to be in conversation with Dr. Dajani. We had hoped she'd be with us in person in the Bronx at the Academy of Mount St. Ursula, but it turned out she had to be in Egypt at the time. So we brought her in, we used technology to bring her in virtually, which was not ideal, but at least we were still able to have that intergenerational conversation. So anyway, it was just a fabulous way to experience International Women's Day. And thank you so much, Marina, for lifting up the importance of International Women's Day on March 8th every single year. So thank you very much for the opportunity to reflect a bit. Back to you, Audrey.
Thanks, Beth. I want to give anybody else a chance to reflect on your experience of the in-person time. What does anyone else want to offer? What still sticks with you? And that can be anyone, even anyone above 17 years old. Well, at any time throughout our session, please feel free to interject in the chat messages. We will be watching there. Well, Beth, shall we move on to CSW and a little bit of a remembering about that presentation? If we're ready for that, then I'd like to invite Alice Kitchen. Alice, are you here?
Here.
Hi, go ahead.
Are you ready? The Cities for the Elimination of Discrimination in all forms against women and girls was an outcome of the lack of the fact that our country failed to sign on to the treaty that 189 other countries around the world signed on to. And the Commission on the Status of Women yearly gets reports at the UN from those different countries that are reporting on how they're meeting the standards. So a number of years ago, some women, largely in California and very creative, said, well, if our country's not going to do this, we can do it city by city or county. So they created a format that cities in our country could do what countries around the world are expected to do. There is something really good about this, and that is that compliance around these standards really happens mostly at the local level. So even though countries are reporting, they still don't have the reality of on-the-ground compliance and achievement of women achieving equality. So the basic standards that the group formed, and they call it Cities for CSW. CSW is the abbreviation of what I just told you about, which is a UN treaty. So the basic standards that the format for cities to comply with have to do with women in the workplace, women making decisions, parity in those areas, women being paid equitably. That's not the same as equal. Equitable means women and men are paid based on education, experience, and skills at the same level. So those are some of the basic standards, and the others include a number of sets that you need to have: a resolution, an ordinance, a gender study. You need to show that you have something that you're working on and an organization, preferably inside the city government. And then you need to be reporting on a regular basis. So that's the background. About 20 cities across the country have signed on to this, and most are in the East Coast or West Coast. So I'm going to share a item that we're looking at here in Kansas City. Now, mind you, it's really hard for cities that are in red states like Missouri. And so we're lucky that we're in a city that is very progressive. And we have about half of our city council and half of our appointed department heads are women. So we're looking to take before our city council in the near future a document that says we have met the standards, declare our city to be a city for CSW. And the reason it's important is wherever you are, and I know Cleveland has a a youth commission on the status of women, but wherever you are, you can go to your city and create a plan to have your city designate that you are a city for CEDAW, which means that you comply with making women safe from discrimination and equitable in salaries and safe and protected from domestic violence and sexual assault. So here's my screen that tells you what we plan to present to our city council. And I don't know if you can see it. Can you see what I'm showing?
Yes.
Okay, so this is what we're going to present, and we're going to ask the city to declare, because we feel like we have done these things. It's also called the Women's Bill of Rights. So the standards required, as I said, resolution of intent, and they would like to have a commission appointed. In Kansas City, we got, instead of a commission, we became a part of a department of the Human Rights Commission. So that gives us regulatory authority, hearings, and investigations that we can do. We have a gender pay study. We got the city council to pay for a study of the whole workforce in terms of equality and equity. And they're working on those adjustments that need to be made. And with women in decision-making roles, elective and administrative office is really important. You've got to have women in the forefront, making those decisions, recommending changes, and being in the implementation in the department. So what we have done is we have a resolution, and we did the study. We completed that study, and we secured a salary history ban in our whole city, which means that if you are an applicant for a job, you do not need to share your salary. That is a minus for all people, because you may have worked for a nonprofit. You may have been out of the job market because of child caring or elder care. So it's a really important item that many cities and states have passed across the country, maybe 26 or so. And now we're a part of the Human Rights Commission, and we're in their budget, and we can do, as I said, those investigations. So how we got here, we came from a group of women's organizations that were in the community, all different kinds of women's organizations. UNA Women, AAUW, League of Women Voters, Delta Sigma, AAK, AKA, NAACP Women, and Zonta, etc. Anyway, so they were already a part of a coalition. So the coalition, thanks to Gender Jane, Jail Games, who is part of the Women's Intercultural Network, which is sort of the website and the holder of all the work done around Cities for CEDAW. So WIN, which is what I'm talking about, is the one that actually posts all the cities and has the website about that. So the gender study pointed out what needs to be done, and the mayor had appointed me to be on the Human Rights Commission and to chair the Gender Equity Task Force. So we think that it's now time for our city to declare that we are a city for CEDAW and to make that declaration official. And below is the website that has the background. The reason this is all important is that your city or your county can do this. And I encourage you, and I know Dubuque, Iowa is working on it, and we're really excited to support them, encourage them. They have made great progress.
Alice, amazing. Is Kansas City going to be the first state outside of the coast to be doing this?
Outside of the where?
The coast, East and West Coast.
Well, I think that well, first of all, Cleveland, I believe, is there, but I don't know that Denver has an, so I think the answer is yes. We're not aware of any Middle Western, I mean, I don't even think St. Louis has it. I think Louisville has tried, but it's not just blue, the absence of blue states, but it's also some are very reluctant. They can't get any attention from their city council, or they say we don't need it.
Who says we don't need it? Who says? That's why we're rising up.
Right.
Thank you so much, Alice. This is wonderful. Anybody else have any comments about CEDA? And maybe they saw the presentation as well. Any comments, maybe questions for Alice? Thank you, Alice. I'd like now to move to a part that I suggested earlier would be moving our hearts collectively. And that is written on this platform called a Padlet. Natalie, I wonder if you could just share the link for the Padlet. And I invite you all to go to this link that you'll find in chat. And you'll see that we have a few questions that the Padlet invites people to reflect on. And while I'm reviewing these questions again, feel free to click on the plus button and just type in what you're inspired to type in from these questions. What was the most surprising thing I learned this week? Second section is, what do you want to share with your peers about this week's experience? The third section was, how did your experience change you and help you deepen your understanding of Laudato Si? And then finally, what sticks with you from CSW67? So I want to be quiet for about 2 minutes and have you, now that you're on your own link, and just have you scroll through and just read, and then we'll come back and talk. So I'm curious to hear what you've read that has moved you. Anybody who wants to speak to what you've read here that moves you especially. I'm wondering if you're noticing any themes that especially stick out for you, or just anything that moves you, even if you just see it once. course, gratitude is written throughout this. I'm also seeing a theme that has to do with feeling like I can make a change. So let's talk. What's moving you about what you're reading here in Padlet?
Is that a question to all of us, Audrey?
Yeah, all of you. Yeah, all of you. I think some may be
Yeah.
seeing this for the first time. And
I-
that's
I'm-
also, go ahead, Anna.
Well, I just want to say I am absolutely amazed already by what these young girls have seen and internalized and hope to do with that experience they had at the UN. And I'm just so amazed by each one of you. So thank you so much for sharing with us these experiences you had and what it'll mean for your future, our future, really. Thank you so much.
I think I'll just add quickly to that and sort of say it double. I'm Connie in Guatemala, also a Loretto member, and the particular issues that you all have become more sensitive to are so much alive in this place where I live. So it has been a joy to hear how you have gotten into a space where you are both awakened, and may your journeys be blessed and empowered.
Yeah, it's a beautiful blessing. May that be so for all of us. Beth is inviting us to ask any questions that are rising up for participants. CSW67, what questions do you want to ask the participants?
I have a question, and I'm responding to one of the written comments that that talked about several of the issues that you learned about, and that we don't learn that in school. I think somebody said that, and I'm wondering what could change that, or what more would you like to see happening in your schools that happened while you were at the UN?
May I add to that?
Yeah.
So that's basically why I followed up on Beth with the Instagram, because we put that Instagram and we send it to our chats because we want girls to know what is happening around the world. And we do have a sense of that. We took a class that was like about mental health and how it went on with girls in our school. And the fact that some of us, like Marina, Juliana, and myself, went to the CSW, heard about these topics, and now we talk about it with our friends. It has made an impact, but we want to make more. And actually, one of my friends, she's not here right now, she couldn't make it, but she went with us to the CSW. She is president and I'm vice president of our school, and we're gonna try to do something about that and that topic, about how we don't learn about technology, well, like about how girls can be with technology and how what is happening to them. So we kind of want to stand up to that, and when we do, we will let you guys know.
That's great. Yeah, it's something that's probably not in a traditional curriculum in some ways. So that's great to be spreading the word.
Anna, what is are you thinking?
Yeah, I also wanted to add on, oh, sorry. That was also one of the things that I read that was kind of like impactful because I go to St. Mary's and it's an all girls school in Denver, Colorado. And even though it is all girls and a lot of the things that we do learn about are more like women and girls focused because that's the school, we still do not have a lot of access or information about those types of things. We even have a lot of classes in our school that are dedicated. There's like a class that's just called Women in Gender Studies, and it's just dedicated to learning about the different hardships that women have gone through over the years and just overall like different experiences of women around the world. But still, a lot of the things that my classmates and I experienced and heard about at the CSW we had never heard of before, and now we include a lot of it in our daily discussions. And there's a thing that we do at our school, it's called roundtable every Wednesday-ish. There's a topic that's chosen and we kind of just discuss it as a class, as whoever attends during that period. And I think like bringing those insights are really important, but I think overall just more access and more acknowledgement of the importance of like news, especially related towards gendered violence, is really important. So I know that as a community, like those in my school who went to the CSW trip really try and advocate for that. Also, I just wanted to respond to something that Beth put in to the chat. Our estimate group has presented to our school, I think a couple weeks ago, if I'm correct, about the CSW trip, but it was very brief, unfortunately, because I'm pretty sure next year we also relay more information to the sophomores because the CSW trip, at least in my school, is only available for juniors. So we just kind of talked about our experience within the UN and then also outside, and things we learned and our favorite sessions and such.
That's great.
Thank you,
Thanks.
Marina, and then Alice.
Yeah, so as I previously said, my experience in the UN opened my eyes to a lot of things. Like, it helped me realize that I can make a change at 16 years old. And what I changed in my school and what I want to do is that I'm going to be president of Model UN Club next year, and I really want to like get a lot of girls from like freshmen, sophomores, and other juniors, because I'm going to be a senior. I want to get them to, and I want to like teach them, want to encourage them to make a change. And I just want to I want to raise voice for those who can't, and I want to participate in that change. And I want to encourage these girls to go to the trip next year, because I realized how important it is to know about what's happening in the world. And so, yeah, I just want to have that club really working and just full of girls who really want to make that change.
Thank you, Marina. Yes. And Alice, you put your hand down.
No.
Do you still have something?
Yes.
Oh, okay, Alice. Okay. Yeah.
Yes, to all of you young women, I want to say that CSW had a really important focus, women in technology, and social media is a big concern for me because it is a prime reason for suicides among young people. There is stalking, there is pornography, there is bullying, there are all kinds of things that are not controlled. What do you suggest that is done with social media to reduce the violence against women, girls, and all genders?
Is that a question you're asking the group right now?
I would like to, yes.
Yeah, who would like to respond? And then Roberta, I see that you have your hand up too. Who would like to respond to Alice's question?
I can. I guess to combat all of the violence that occurs on social media. Inherently, there's like controlling, I guess, what kinds of apps or what kind of restrictions that you have on like at certain ages can be done, but I guess that's more like reliant on the parents. But at least something that we do in my school that I guess was like kind of started recently. On certain days we have like community days or Loretto days. Where like there's a certain topic and each grade goes through different things. For example, like on a certain day the senior class might go through a like a self-defense class and learn different ways and techniques to defend yourself like physically. This year all of the juniors went through a program called Blue Bench, and it's kind of more focused on, I guess, how a community can support victims of sexual assault, and especially in the atmosphere of social media and how that can severely impact someone's mental health. And although it was only for one day, I know a lot of my like friends and I still like look on that website or just get in contact with different things like that, because just like the awareness of certain things like that and just like the constant not necessarily constant reminder, but the reminder and the activities that like this Blue Bench I guess day provided us about how to be aware of like the violence that can occur online, how to be aware and how to support those around us, for me at least was really beneficial. So I think more like hands-on activities and learning opportunities for girls and women and everyone to be just like aware of the violence that can occur on social media and just like overall on the internet. Another thing that my school does is also like they send out, this isn't directly tied to social media, but they send out like fake phishing emails, for example, to help students learn when to be cautious, how to be careful, and just overall like be independent and not have to be reliant on something like that and not be taken advantage of. So I think like a real big solution to effectively combat the violence is just to either teach young girls and give them activities to really have like experience on how to handle things like that.
That's very clever. Anybody else have a response for Alice before we move to Roberta? What would you like to see? What have you seen? We are coming to the top of the hour, so Roberta, I think I will move to you.
I was really impressed. I think it was Marina, you said how you were received the courage sort of and the insight that it doesn't matter if you're 16, 17, you can make a change. And I think it goes to anybody that like maybe we think we're too old to make a change too, you know. I think it's true that everyone is a huge change possibility person, and especially, and as some of the others mentioned too, if you gather some people around you with like wishes and goals, I think that is, you've got support there. You can't and you don't need a lot of people. I think even a few people is good. The more you have, of course, the better, but just a few people to help you and that support group. So I think that is such a good insight, Marina. Thank you.
Yes, yes. To have the support of friends and like-minded people. Roberta, thank you. Maria.
I just wanted to ask you guys if you guys could do me a favor. I want to make a video for the Instagram, and if you guys could help me saying Loretto at the UN, and I'll post it to the Instagram, it would mean a lot to us. So yeah, I'll count and you guys can answer.
Well,
okay.
let's go a bit further. Yeah, raise your hands. And furthermore, if you're interested in taking up Maria's offer, then please just write yes in chat, and that'll be associated with your name. Just write yes. And Maria, do you know how to be in touch with all these people? I'm sure Beth can help.
I can talk to Beth. I'll ask her.
Yeah, but you were wanting us to say Loretto at the UN like right now on the Zoom, right? MJ?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, just before we leave, so we can like post that and we can say that we were in the Zoom meeting.
Yes, and you can get a screenshot of us as well. So please, if you can come off, come on to your video and wave if you can.
Yes.
That would be fabulous. All right, you direct us,
Okay.
MJ.
Okay, I'm gonna count to 3. Okay, I'm videotaping. 1, 2, 3. Loretto at the UN.
Loretto at the UN.
Thank you.
Great. And then do you also want to follow up, or have you just got what you wanted?
Yes, if you guys can send your Instagram so Loretto at the UN can follow you guys, that would be perfect too.
Fantastic. Thank you.
If you can put it in the chat, please.
Yes,
Yeah,
and
great.
Marjorie, I know we're moving towards wrapping up, but before we do, I also wanted to introduce someone who's new to Loretto at the UN, but I think she's ready to jump in with 2 feet, and she's a connection with Narings Hall High School, the Loretto school that wasn't able to come this year to CSW67. But I'd like to introduce very quickly Caroline Mentel, who will start getting oriented for a summer internship with Loretto at the UN on Wednesday. And I'll pop it over to you, Caroline, to introduce yourself briefly.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for letting me jump on and learn about this experience. Everything has been so insightful. I'm currently a junior at the University of South Carolina. Like Beth was saying, I'm originally from St. Louis, Missouri, so I'm a little bit familiar with the Sisters of Loretto, but I'm so happy to be here and I can't wait to meet you all a little bit more formally and learn more about everything you're doing. So thanks again for letting me be a fly on the wall at the meeting today.
Thank you, Caroline, and you have a wonderful job ahead of you this summer. So Beth and I sing in the same feminist chorus, and one of the pieces that we sang some years ago comes from the Broadway show Wicked. You know that show. It's been around for a while, and there's a song that Elphaba sings, which is "I have been changed for good," and a little bit goes like this. I've heard it said that people come into our lives for a reason, bringing something we must learn, and we are led to those who help us most grow. I know I'm who I am today because I knew you. I have been changed for good. I knew you. I have been changed for good. And as we check out, I just wonder if you might have 1 or 2 or 3 words to say as you reflect on how being in this community among these friends has helped you be changed for good.
The experience at the UN broadened my awareness of diversity and the importance of inclusivity.
Thank you. How have you been changed for good?
Being part of this group today gives me hope for the future.
Sorry that I'm not turning my camera on. It's because I'm in 1%. My phone's in 1%, so I'm charging it. But the way this has changed me is that, like, before I went to the trip, I was not aware of all the things that are happening in the world. And you know, I always took things for granted. I didn't know that, I didn't think that I was being blessed with so much that other people weren't. So this really opened my eyes just to like be thankful for what I have and to do what I can with what I have to help others.
That's beautiful. Thank you. Juliana, you have something? You put your video on. Are you
Yes, I just wanted to say that going to the CSW and to the UN kind of changed my perspective on life. And it made me realize that I have the power to make a change and that I have a lot of opportunities too, to take charge and help those in need. And also being with the group of people that I went, it made me see that like the world isn't such a bad place and that there is people that are trying to make a difference and fighting for women's rights.
Thank you so much. Well, Beth, I'm going to turn it to you, give you a chance to respond to the question if you like, and then open it up to just have a few minutes of chat.
Thank you. Thank you, Audrey. Thank you, everyone, for being here. My phrase is intergenerational inspiration. And feel free to either put your thought or phrase into the chat or feel free to jump in. We had planned this only to be about an hour and we're already at 10 after 7 Eastern time, but I'm just gonna open it up here for folks to say whatever they'd like to say. Maybe Natalie, we could stop recording here. But feel free to stay on for a couple of minutes and chat and share and ask questions you didn't get a chance to ask if you would like. And deep gratitude again to the Loretto Feminist Network for co-sponsoring, and to Alice for sharing your wisdom about what's happening with Cities for CEDAW. What you all are doing in Kansas City is absolutely inspirational, and grateful you're going to take it up to Dubuque. Thanks, everyone. Yeah, over to you, Alice. We saw your hand. Oh, you're muted.
It was a thumbs up.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll echo a thank you to put this together and to share the stories all of you have shared have been very inspirational, and Loretto is with you, not only while you're in school, but beyond school, beyond your schools.
So, as a member of the older generation, I can say that I just breathe a huge sigh of relief that you younger women are coming along and are going to make the changes that we have wished to see for a long, long time. So we bless you, we pray for you, and we walk with you as you do this.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, here's somebody in her car, just sort of driven into our meeting here. Tim Shepard, hi. I put you on the spot and invite you to say a word to the wise.
Oh, yes. So sorry, I'm coming in late. I had a piano lesson out on the east side of Cleveland, and I was trying to get on. But anyway, here I am. I'll have to get updated when I go inside with the conversation that went on. But yeah, I mean, I've realized not just through like CSW, but over the years that I've known Beth, that there's such a bigger world out there, and young people really are, you know, I really didn't, I wasn't really connected to younger people. I mean, other than my niece and my nephews, but it's so inspiring to see the work that's going on at the UN through youth, and how they're carrying on and, you know, trying to make things better for the world, because there's a lot of stuff that I don't even know. I have no clue. So, but I guess until then I'll have to work on things more the local side and support local businesses and farmers to make, you know, sustainability uh, something more important, you know, on the local level. So but youth are just very inspiring, and I thank you, all of you in the younger generation that are really really stepping up and becoming great leaders.
Thank you, Kim. It's hard not to be inspired, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, so maybe this is a good time to just make a gesture of gratitude and appreciation, whatever that is for you here in these Hollywood Squares windows, and look forward to continuing to be an intergenerational mix of rising up. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you.